The following podcast contains some strong language and some very average opinions.
Any references to actual people are wildly inaccurate. It's probably best if you don't listen at all.
The Roaring Peacock Podcast.
Welcome back to the Roaring Peacock Main Cast. On the show today, we'll be discussing how Millwall can get in the bin. We'll be looking at the Chelsea game and ahead to the West Ham game. We'll also be joined by the chair of Marching Out Together to talk about inclusivity and the Rainbow Laces campaign. But first, the week began with the club creating a civil war in the fan community, with members and season ticket holders vowing to fight to the death for ballotted tickets that don't exist yet. The club clearing things up days later after the dust had cleared, declaring season ticket holders the winners. Leeds have joined forces with Bananas in Pyjamas. Banana Ninjas? No? Ninjas in Pyjamas. In the club's effort to win the virtual Premier League, leaving Leeds fans asking Phil Hay, but Phil, are they any good? Niall Huggins signed a new deal with the club but after the year we've had, let's face it, we all need a bit of a Huggins. Despite our valiant attempts to break the lockdown curse by casting a spell in Maincast number 9, Leeds lost again in London to a clever and expensive Chelsea team. Given we almost snatched an undeserved draw, the disappointment we felt at the result underlines just how far we've come under Bielsa. And from cock-ups to cock-ops, the German defender needs knee surgery after picking up an injury in the early moments of the Chelsea game. After hearing some gruesome stories of cock surgeries, we're hoping it doesn't leave him out for too long.
I was going to say, I've had loads of emails like offering surgery in that exact area, so I'll just forward them on to Leeds United.
We can extend that offer for at least until spring. And Big Kev is still casting his big shadow in the background, as energy drink advert FC have asked FIFA to make a ruling. Luckily, FIFA are corrupt as fuck, so a simple bribe should get us out of it. Allegedly.
Yeah.
And in non-Leeds related news, it was Groundhog Day in London as Leeds lost in the capital. Millwall fans were racist. Sorry, anti-Marxist. And the streets of London were flooded in attempts to stop a second wave. Not the first time Southern-centric policies have left most of the country in tears. We're eagerly awaiting the counter to the Communist Manifesto, presumably the Millwall Manifesto, though we're confused as how a group of working-class Millwall fans can gain political power whilst being against the working class gaining political power, which is a main tenet of Marxism. The FA put out a strongly worded condemnation. It's important to remember that Leeds City were obliterated for paying footballers wages. We were fined £200,000 for watching a training session from a public footbath. Yet Millwall, EFL Family Club of the Year 2017, not only do they continue to exist, they get a strongly worded note. And the worst part, what good is a note when they can't read? And after a particularly testing argument with his wife, an Italian man, dubbed Forrest Gump, has walked 280 miles in a bid to cool off. Some girls have been reported saying their arguments would only make him walk 20 miles. If only he'd supported Leeds, he'd have circled the globe at least 3 times by this point. Bill Gates is said to be delighted after wearing Margaret Keenan like a glove. The 91-year-old... The 91-year-old in Coventry has become the first person to be injected with our new Overlord's microchip.
Intel inside.
That's how she wakes up. That's a new alarm. Experts in biotech warfare are expecting her to be running marathons in the next days. Speaking of marathons, Kevin Sinfield has run 7 in 7 days, and the process raised over £2 million for motor neurones disease research to support his friend and former Leeds Rhinos teammate Rob Burrow. And San Marino are licking their lips, looking at Southgate's England as another incredible waste of time lies ahead of us, ready and waiting to give all our players injuries.
Right.
That was the fairly uneventful week. My name's Adonis. You know me as the Adelites, and joining us today is our resident riot badger, Alex.
Good afternoon.
And our man so new I don't have a nickname for him, Rob.
How we doing? You all right?
Go on then. Tell me about it.
No, I was saying it's quite an uneventful week, isn't it? It's not much has happened, It's been quiet. I haven't had any arguments on Twitter. Only the first 5,000. Yeah, it's been great.
I guess firstly, the Chelsea game.
Yeah, it was. I think it was disappointing because we looked like we could have got something out of it for the first half. We weren't far away from them in the first half, and then the second half they just came into it and it beat us at a canter, which is really disappointing. It would have almost been easier to just get hammered 4-0, but no. Yeah, but we held his own. Lampard celebrated like he'd won the league, prick, and yeah, we move on.
I agree. I think second half, the quality difference really showed. You can't give him that much space and time. And again, classic us under Bielsa, we guilty of not converting his chances. I think if you give teams of that quality or that expense, should I say, the ability to run in behind or drop off, especially against what was a makeshift centre-back pairing for this season, at least anyway, then Euro was asking for trouble. And I think at least people were honest, or from what I've seen, the reaction from the club has been honest enough to say that we were soundly beaten by a team that costs more, but it's also a massive golfing quality. They're a much better side than us, aren't they, really? So, but it's just tantalising. I agree with Alex there, to be fair, because first half you look at it and you think, right, all right, Bamford gets off a brilliant pass, world-class pass and a equally as good finish, and then you think for the first 45 we might have a chance to take something from it, but yeah, second half we were well and truly beaten, and move on now to winnable home games, and then the scum, innit?
I think the one thing that we've got to add on the Chelsea thing, you could have a trained monkey on the sidelines managing that club and you'd still have the same result. There is no coaching that's come from that slimy little prick. Just what it is. So, yeah.
a trained monkey instead of a trained snake slithering around in a human suit.
That's it. Oh, God, I just can't stand them. Can't stand him failing upwards. Can't stand people who fail upwards.
It was a bit
it's
of an
just
over,
his lack of humility, isn't it?
I think his celebration at full time, all the kind of stuff he'd been media trained not to say in the run up about the very short but ill-fated beef he seems to have got with Bielsa's way of philosophy and footballing. I think that all came. You saw that at the full-time whistle. I agree. He celebrated like they won the league, which is, it's a bit of an overreaction considering most of their fan base thinks that we're relegation fodder. So I don't know why you'd be celebrating that much again. I dare say he probably doesn't celebrate like that when they beat Burnley or Sheffield United or someone like that.
No, I'm just happy that he can go and take a shit in changing rooms, because that's his tradition after he beats us.
Indeed. So we have launched a campaign this season to raise money to put a children's toy in the last food parcel delivery of the year. And through your overwhelming support, we've raised over £3,000. And that money, or a large chunk of that money, has now been spent on 300 toys. And the photos are on Instagram and Twitter at All Elves Aren't We. And it's just when the pictures came through of the little shopper elves going and buying those presents, it just made me feel very warm and fuzzy inside. And it reminded me of when I was a much smaller human being, 6 years old, and watching these Christmas movies with the elves in the Santa factory making the toys. And I kind of had this moment where I just thought, we've done that, it's not just us in particular on this podcast, but the people at Slunglow and everybody who donated. So thank you so much for that. And Alex, you have an announcement?
Yeah,
along
so
those lines?
I met Mr. Cleek today, and he was kind enough to sign a few canvases for us. So there's 3 that are going to be available. There's one that is the same as this one behind me. It's of Allen Road. It's 120 centimetres by 80, and that's signed by Matthias. That's going to be auctioned off. It's going to be raffled off for LUFC Food Bank. And then we've got 2 more. So we've got the smaller 80 by 60 of Click's Graffiti at Ellen Road. They're both signed. One of them will be auctioned off on Twitter. So it'll be basically, we'll decide a time when the best bid wins. And we'll be going on the tweet timestamps. And then the other one will be raffled off in the same way. So everybody's got a chance. It'll be a small raffle contribution. Or if you want to splash out and get the auction, you can probably buy that there. But yeah, it's been really nice to deal with. Matthias has been really down to earth and it's simple to deal with. So it's nice for a guy to take his time out to do that for us. So we'll be doing the click ones for Slunglow.
Yeah, and having seen a preview picture, mate, thanks for sharing that. They look absolute quality. So a proper piece of memorabilia and a quality piece of art for someone to hopefully win and obviously go for a good cause. I think it's a fantastic effort, that, and well done to Click for being such a gent and joining in.
Yeah, thanks to him for meeting a strange-looking bloke stood outside Costa Wetherby with a silver Sharpie in his hand. You know,
probably the only person stood outside of Costa in Leeds that isn't looking for Bielsa.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I stood there and I had the canvases, and some guy goes up, "Is that a new sign for Costa?" No, mate, I'm meeting somebody who's going to sign it. Oh, it's champions. And I went, that's Ellen Road, Leeds United. You know, we were champions last year. Oh, I don't follow football. So, why are you talking to me, mate? Put a mask on, leave me alone. But yeah, so while the money for the click ones might not meet the toy target, I guess, because that'll all have been paid for, it's still going to go to Slunglow, which, you know, they will need that funding for January. So if everybody can donate as much as possible, we'll make sure that we're contributing as much as we can.
Yeah, and having been up, I went up to Slunglow 2 weeks ago to drop off my contribution to the effort, and just want to say huge admiration I've got for the people up there. They're doing an absolutely amazing job. It's a shame that we have a society where so many people need access to food banks, but it's important that we rally around, I think, as a community, and it's great to see so many people getting involved to support them because they're doing a really, really amazing job. So yeah, keep up the good work, and Merry Christmas to everyone that's getting involved and helping.
Yeah, I ordered some Where's Wally's books to go to them, and through Amazon. Ironically, one of them went missing. He just couldn't write that. We should be getting that then.
So let's that's that out the way. Now, Marxism.
Yeah,
Millwall.
Originally, the taking the knee was a gesture for Black Lives Matter. So Black Lives Matter is a statement, as in you agree that people of colour, Black lives matter. They do matter. All lives do matter if you want to take the macro statement, but Black lives matter as well. And that's the whole thing, is that's been has been neglected for quite a few years now, and that's what it's trying to bring to. The problem is that some people then adopted Black Lives Matter as a slogan for a political movement, and they've said some not nice things, and a lot of statements like defund the police, which, you know, is too broad a statement for it to make sense. For what it actually means is to remove some funding from police to give to education, etc. But you can't just hide behind defund the police. So there's been a movement to pull away from the BLM movement and then we've got no room for racism on the shirts. So that's what the knee is taken for. But the problem is that people like Millwall supporters that booed, not all Millwall supporters boo, but the ones that did, still want to associate the gesture with Black Lives Matter, in quotes, TM, the political movement. So that's their easy out, is that they're booing a neo-Marxist movement. None of them can explain what Marxism is and how the taking the knee is Marxist. But this is what I tried to say, and the example that I moved was, a guy comes out and says, I don't think people should kick puppies. So I'm going to use the statement, don't kick puppies. And then somebody turns around and says, well, actually, there's a political party over here called DKP, and they've said some really not nice things. It's like, well, I still don't think puppies should be kicked, and then get called a Marxist for it. It doesn't work. None of it makes sense. But yeah, it's just people using that as an excuse to be racist. Come at me. I don't give a fuck.
I mean, firstly, they're saying all animals shouldn't be kicked. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know? And then they're saying, the don't kick puppies movement, that's communist, that is. It doesn't compute, does it?
No.
Firstly, they're full of shit, aren't they? Because we know that they're racist. We know that because we saw 50 of them chanting, I'd rather be a N-word. Oh no, I'd rather be a P-word from Pakistan.
Yeah.
I'd rather be one of those than a Scouse.
Yep.
And they've been doing it for years. There was no movement. There was no huge movement like the club did, like Leeds did in fanzines in the 80s to kick out the fascists and the racists. There's nothing like that for Millwall. No, why wouldn't they do that as a club? Because that's all the revenue gone.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that shows you why the statements come out from the supporters club as it has, because they're protecting their membership. Because I think if they came out and actually said the right thing and said, we condemn those that booed, because you might have your misgivings for it, but you've got to be respectful for the players that are on the pitch who've taken that gesture. You've booed your own players. They've come out and said, oh, well, they aren't racist, really. They're just booing people who've, desecrated Winston Churchill's statue, It's fuck off. You're just protecting your membership.
The wording was, if you think that booing was racist, you should have heard what some of the other supporters were saying.
I think for me, the whole thing's gone mad. I mean, there is an embedded culture of racism within terraces and within football still that I think does need addressing. I think there are or have been massive strides by most clubs and associations to try to tackle it, but there is obviously still a lot more to be done. I think what I find most baffling is that people are trying to, you see the word politics brandished around a lot. People say, oh, we don't want politics in football. Well, I don't, for me anyway, consider equality amongst men and women or of any kind of colour or creed to be a political issue. That for me doesn't make sense. I don't understand why fans are trying to excuse booing a gesture. And I agree with Alex, the confusion between the Marxist side of what a political movement has taken on, but also the actual core reason why the players are kneeling, which is not that. And people bringing in all these third-party elements just goes against the hard work that football clubs and associations are trying to do. It's almost like blatant justification for what is in essence embedded racism within the sport, and it needs to stop. We all know that. I just find it baffling. But then, associations and even the good work that goes on by clubs just gets undermined by this really small, section of fans that no one really seems to want to come out and fully condemn unless you're a, TalkSport presenter or a pundit looking for likes and retweets. I don't see really any mainstream organisations fully condemning it, not just releasing statements. I mean, actually taking action against, and the same at Colchester. It wasn't just Millwall, was it? A similar thing happened at Colchester. Which I think their club has come out and sort of said, again, issued a generic statement. But for me, I think if we really want to see racial equality embedded and clubs and fan bases to understand it, it's not just a football issue. Obviously, it's a societal issue that needs to be taken, in much wider context. But there is certainly a lot more that those football clubs that are involved in that could have done to have condemned it, I think, personally. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think the politicising thing is the people who are against it have got to drag it. They've got to label it politics. And then that puts it into an area where they can debate it and say that it's bad. And then they can denounce it. And that's what they're doing. They're bringing you to an area where they can... It's pigeon chess. So you're playing chess with a pigeon, it will just knock all the pieces of a shot on the board and walk around like it's won anyway. So that's exactly what they do. They drag you into an arena where they think they can win. If we're talking about political gestures in football, and now I agree with remembrance, but that's exactly the same thing. Not everybody agrees with remembrance, but could you imagine if that was booed? I think there'd be a massive uproar, and the same people who'd be saying, "Oh, well, we're entitled to our opinion," they'd be the ones that would be announcing it as well and saying, "Oh, we need arrests and we need this, we need that." You can't pick and choose your virtue signal. Were Millwall right to boo? Put in our poll. It's that provocative clickbait shit. Yeah,
but that's exactly the point that you make, though, isn't it? It's about the reaction. So if a Remembrance Day minute silence was booed, the reaction to that would be very, very different to how the reaction has been to taking a knee.
Yep.
And that proves that there is racism inherent in it. Even if you didn't look at all of the other evidence, of which you could write several books about it. Okay, I think we've done that topic now. Let's move it back to Leeds for a second. So Cock is out.
Yay.
Now, Rob, you looked up you brought up a stat with injuries.
We have not had a fully fit squad for Bielsa to pick from, and that includes all senior players being 100% available since a friendly at Southend in July of 2018. Which I found absolutely, and I can't take credit for that stat. That stat came from Twitter, but I've not verified it. But it comes from a very reliable source. So we've not had a fully fit squad to pick from once since a Southend friendly in July 2018, which is quite mind-boggling, really.
I think Adam Forshaw's got to take a lot of blame for that.
Yeah,
really.
Exactly. It's worrying, I think. I'm not going to lie. I don't want to overplay it because we've got plenty of positional players able to cover. You could put Struijk in there as a makeshift centre-half. Obviously, Llorente coming in against Chelsea. I don't think it's disaster. However, like everything in football, it's just bad timing, isn't it? I really, really thought Cock was starting to fit in. The Cock fitting in. Excuse the words there. But I think he was starting to fit in that back four. And I think he was starting to make his mark a little bit, cutting out the silly mistakes. He's a player. There's no doubt he's a player. And
he'd inserted himself quite well, I thought we were doing quite well.
Hey.
Yeah, so it's although what's not clear for me, and you chaps might be able to explain this a bit further, is the length of the injury, because I don't know if the German FA, someone from the German FA had an interview with Bild, I think that's how you pronounce it, the newspaper Bild, and they'd said that they were hoping to have him back in spring, but I assume that's just because the next international friendly or competition he can play for Germany is in the spring. He's not going to be out until the spring, surely, or is he?
I don't know. It's Rob Price in it, so he'll probably have him. He'll have Jamal Blackman's knee ligaments and the sewed in, and he'll be back by next week.
He's having surgery, so sometimes takes a little while to recover from that. Okay, so that's Cock done, and now let's have a think about West Ham. Alex,
Yep.
you have any thoughts on the Ammers?
The Ammers. Oh, like West Ham, I miss the boiling ground, mate. No, fucking... They're going to be fans back in the ground, aren't they? Which is great, because they'll fight each other, and that's the best thing about West Ham, because they just scrap each other. It's great. No, it's not really a classic fixture for me.
There was that time when they surrounded the chairman and the owner.
Oh, throwing season
things
tickets at him, yeah. It's always good value. It's always good, but that's a massive ground, isn't it? The Olympic Stadium. So, and that's going to be just like 2,000 fans spread around that. I don't think it's going to.
At home.
No, we're at home.
Oh, is it home? Oh, this shows you how
We're at
fucking detached I am. Give me a virus and I've got no chance. That's a good point then. So I might just pop down so I can see the new lights on. But yeah, so there'll be no fans. There'll be no scrapping. So I'm not interested anymore. Just sack me front preview. Let's get someone else. No, it's not a classic fixture for me. The only memory I have of it is like 1-1 draws. That I can't remember any classic games against West Ham. Can remember that time when Gradle scored just before he left. But other than that, it's a nothing game for us. I think we should get 3 points.
Yeboah away, cracking volley. Remember that?
No. remember his volley against Wimbledon. He scored quite a few of them, didn't he? So.
What a fucking goal that was. First day of the season. Away at West Ham.
We always see that period that we always went on holiday for the first day of the season, and I missed loads of games, so that's one of them, including the Wimbledon game. I was at Blue Dolphin, some caravan site on the East Coast, so I missed all that. I just got a phone call from my granddad saying, "Oh, your boss scored a great goal. I've tipped match at day for you." So, yeah, no memories of them. No memories of early games in them seasons.
They look all right this year, though, the Ammers. I'm not going to lie. They don't look terrible under Moisey. I really thought last year they were lucky in the end. Obviously, there was teams that were much worse than them, weren't there? And but they were down the bottom, scrapping. And like I say, I've got a friend who's a season ticket holder who's a really, really diehard Hammer. We banter back and forth a lot, but I think they look a different proposition this year. I don't think it's necessarily just because of the signing of Ben Rama, but I think they do look. Bowen looks a danger. They just look a different outfit. I think we'll still win. Hopefully, we'll get the 3 points. I think we've got enough about us. But defensively, we worry me this year. I don't know. Every time I've watched us, we look, and this is my first time joining the cast. So I've been listening, but I've not had a chance to weigh in on the discussion. But I am agreeing with what some of the other lads have said. I'm worried about us defensively this year. I think there's always every time someone comes forward at us, we look like we might concede. Having said that, Meslier's got 5 clean sheets this year, hasn't he? So
he's just a French Bailey Peacock Farrell. That's all he is.
Yeah, did you see that? Quaver wrists.
What a take. I think we looked against Chelsea, going back to that, and what we're going to probably see for the West Ham game is we look really vulnerable down our left side. Alioski just was not at the races defensively. Going forward, I think he's really good. He's an hard worker in that, but I think he's not left back, is he?
No. Do you start Dallas there, do you think?
I probably would. I'd probably put Rodrigo in for Dallas, but Dallas in for Alioski.
Yeah,
just solidify it a little bit. But yeah, down the right, Chelsea just had us there, right? So
we played Hull, and Dallas was at left back.
Yeah,
and Bowen was flying. He was at that time he was the informed player in the Championship, and Dallas was all over him because every time he cut inside, obviously that's onto Dallas's right foot. So I'd expect Dallas to come back, and I'd expect the players to be angry as well after that performance against Chelsea.
Yeah. Definitely.
I think the build-up's all going to be Rice versus Phillips, isn't it? It's going to be that's what the narrative that the media will go down. Who's the better CDM and all this? But I think the battle of the game as such, the outcome of the game will be decided on the wings. I really think it will come down to who can get the better final ball, and can we get Bamford on the end of it, or Rodrigo coming in on the 18-yard box? I think.
So should point out that when Alex says Meslier is the French Bailey Peacock Farrell, that's not actually Alex's opinion.
No,
that was a tweet. That was a hot take from Twitter.
Yeah, and he doubled down on it as well. He's like, the only reason he's doing so well is that he's got a solid defence in front of him. It's like a feral Macedonian, Bill Ayling, Cooper, a broken cock, and now Llorente, who just looked like a rabbit in the headlights for the first 5 minutes of him being on. It's not a really solid defence, is it? No. But looking at the head-to-head, so obviously football was only invented in 1993. So since 1993, we have met West Ham 20 times. And how many times do you reckon we've won out of them 20?
14.
Well done.
Did I get it?
Yeah. Did you look that up?
Yeah!
14 wins, 8 home wins, 6 away wins, and they have beaten us twice. 1 home win, 1 away win. We've drawn 4. So yeah, well done. Last meeting was 8th of February 2003, where we beat them 1-0. And who scored in that game?
Wait, what year was it?
2003. Who scored for Leeds against West Ham? It was at Ellen Road. Saturday, 8th of February.
Smith?
Nope.
Duca?
He was from Derby on a very high wage.
Seth Johnson?
There we go. 20 minutes in, he scored, and Raul Bravo got a yellow card.
Wow, Raul Bravo.
Yeah.
I did not think that I would be talking about Seth Johnson today, I'm not going to lie.
Just shows you. So that's the last time we met in the Premier League. Obviously, we met in the Championship and League One. But yeah, that's where we were. No, just Championship with West Ham, I think, wasn't it? But yeah, that's the stats.
Very nice. Thank you, LUFC Stats.
It's all right. Do you want any more?
LUFC Stats Badger.
Yeah, but it's like LUFC Stats, but totally not asked. Like, might have been 4. I don't know. I'm not your real dad.
Was it September? I don't know. Does it matter? No, probably not.
February 31st or somebody else.
Okay. Where are we going now? London. So there were pictures emerged of a very crowded Oxford Street. How did that make you feel?
I don't think it went Oxford Street, because it was pedestrianised. I don't know where that was.
There was a market in Nottingham as well that caused a bit of hassle, weren't there? They closed that down as soon as it. I think it's daft. Me, I mean, you could go at White Rose Centre, you can go Meadowhall, you can go to an indoor shopping centre, granted with a mask on, but I challenge you to walk into any of them on any evening this week and find everyone social distanced, following one-way systems. Probably only around 70-80% or something will be wearing masks, and yet we're not allowed to go and sit in a socially distanced setting such as Ellen Road outside with a mask on for 90 minutes plus half time to watch your team play football. I think it's just bonkers. I think it's bananas.
It's just the north-south divide, isn't it? It's all it is that it's one rule for them, one rule for us, and that's what it's been like for my existence, is that there's been a different rule for the Southerners, because apparently that's where all the money is. And then it's a different rule for us pie-eating Northerners. Which,
I'm glad fans are back in stadiums, don't get me wrong, I really am, and it had to start somewhere, so let's get people back in, but there's a disparity, and there's no common sense being used to allocate where and how.
But fans back in the stadium has given us Millwall booing an anti-racism gesture, and Chelsea fans screaming at Llorente like they're school children. So I reckon just ban them again, just send them back. Ooh, what is that? I've never heard that at a football game in my life.
Yeah.
Is it also a bit ridiculous that every venue is allowed 2,000?
Yeah, it is ridiculous. It should be a percentage of capacity.
Of course it is. You go somewhere like League One, most League One stadiums or League Two, and that's 50% over than the full allocation of people. So I think it was someone that said, if there's a team, let's take Scum, they've got 60,000. If they can comfortably say to the Premier League, we can have 23,000 in socially distanced with the same model as what you're applying to League One, League Two, and lower down the pyramid, and still guarantee safety within a degree. I don't see why it can't be used again. It's just football authorities' lack of common sense. And I think for those conspiracy theorists that might be listening, there's a bigger agenda about the football becoming a bit more of a TV sport or a TV dictated sport, isn't there? Rather than a live sport. I think I'll probably save that for another conversation. But, it doesn't make sense to me, some of the rules they're applying. And I think they need to review it urgently.
Yeah, I think that's probably where we will go. I think they will review it and it will go to a percentage of allocation, a percentage of capacity, because that's the sensible thing to do, especially now that people are now getting vaccinated. As soon as vulnerable people are vaccinated, it just means that we should really be able to go back to a little bit of normality, hopefully.
Yeah, I heard a rumour on Twitter that Margaret's been breakdancing in Greg's this afternoon.
Yeah, she has, yeah. So apparently she told her son that Santa didn't exist, and it were a right laugh. There's a thread, I've retweeted it if you find it. It's a comedian that's changed his name to Margaret Keenan, and she's like, I'm feeling buzzing, lads, and it just goes down this whole timeline of what's going on. Brilliant, absolute genius. I wish I'd have thought of it before he did, but that's why he's a comedian and I'm not.
So the government's fucked up again, basically.
You just copy and paste that statement for every podcast for the rest of time.
Yeah,
I've one of those hotkey keyboard things. I just have it on a button.
And now
press the button, and the government's fucked up again.
Our new section, the government's fucked up. And today in news.
Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum. Government's fucked up. Boom.
What the fuck has Boris done today? Nothing. Next.
The government fuck up of the week.
Kevin Sinfield,
Yeah, what a guy.
Outstanding.
What a guy.
seven marathons in 7 days. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Machine-like.
One of the replies was, well, my mate's son did 26 in 26.
There's always one, isn't there? There's always someone.
Always. But yeah, I think that shows I'm not a Leeds Rhinos fan, but that shows the togetherness of a team, doesn't it? You know, where Kevin's come out to do that for Rob. And it's
one of the
it's
quotes
really
was really got me, where he said he would have done it for me. I think I might be paraphrasing there. He said something like he would have done it for me, or he would do it for me. So yeah. Outstanding effort.
I think one thing that I'm also massively impressed with, I mean, the money's fantastic, but the technology that Rob's got to keep communicating as well in his own voice, I think that's brilliant. He's got obviously an app or something that he can type into that will read it out in his voice, and it sounds convincing, like Rob Burrow. But yeah, I think that's a massive leap and bounds. I think that's great. I think they're doing fantastic stuff for MND. So yeah, all power to them.
Yeah, keep up. I hope everyone keeps supporting them. And
There was an NFL player who got MND or ALS, and he was the guy who initiated the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Yeah.
And there's a group, I can't remember what they're called, but they create AI, and they're the ones who developed that app, probably, I think.
Yeah.
That
wow.
Rob Burrow uses. And they used it on the NFL, on the NFL guy's voice, and that's how they ended up doing that.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. I mean, the losing the power of speech through whatever condition is debilitating. To see somebody, you know, who's been so bright and verbose for all of their life, to lose the power to communicate is devastating. So to give that lease of life to anybody is brilliant. So that's great.
Yeah, and his physical attributes as well, of course. A very sporty fella, and now confined to a wheelchair. But yeah, congratulations to Kevin Sinfield. I'm just I'm getting tired thinking about doing one marathon.
Yeah.
To be honest.
And every single one that he did was below the world average for a marathon as well. So there's no slouch. So yeah, it's a decent effort, is that?
Wow. We had some wood. We've got a wood-fired oven to heat the apartment here, and we had some wood delivered by the fiance's parents, and it's boxes and boxes of it, and we're on the 3rd floor and there's no lift.
Right.
So half an hour later, you're carrying up these boxes and you're done, because I haven't done any exercise in a month or so of lockdown. So 7 marathons in 7 days, I would be dead. I literally would be dead.
Just shows a level of fitness, doesn't it? That, I mean, he is an ex-pro, but still, it's keeping that sort of level of fitness. I'm playing football tomorrow night and I'm dreading it. So I'll see how it goes.
You've got 5-a-side back?
Yep, 5-a-side tomorrow.
Oh, that's good.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wish we had that.
And I don't know how they're swinging it, but I'm immune now because I've had the virus. So, I'll come and play. I don't know what my lung capacity is going to be like, but I'll try it. So.
You'll be even better next year when you get injected by Microsoft Outlook. You'll be fine. Then. You'll be running all over.
I can't connect. Sorry.
You'll be like Clippy dancing around.
It looks like you're trying to install an update.
Yeah.
It looks like you're trying to play 5-a-side football.
But failing miserably.
The most shocking news, I saw a good joke here actually, was that the most shocking news from the Margaret getting injected with the vaccine, bless her, will be that she'll probably become the first person to make Microsoft Edge her default browser.
Nobody does that shit. I'm feeling compelled to change Microsoft Edge to my default browser. I don't know why.
It could get you free shit on Amazon every day. It could order it for free and deliver it, and could do that every day. I still wouldn't use it as my default browser. I've got no interest. I've got no fucking idea what it is. Just fuck off.
You can imagine it though, going home and like, I feel a bit weird. I wonder if it's a side effect. I'll just go, I can't use Google, must use Google.
Oh dear.
But all jokes aside, please take the vaccine if you're offered. It's not got a chip in it, you stupid idiots.
Yes. The government is not, or Bill Gates and the government are not trying to control your whereabouts. Get the vaccine if you're offered it.
Indeed. And on that note, we have a knock, knock, knock on the door, and I'd like to welcome Mr. Stephan Wignal, chair of Marching Out Together. Welcome, Wiggy, is that right? We're going to call you Wiggy?
That's how it goes, right? Yeah, Wiggy's good.
And you've just been voted in as the chairperson of Marching Out Together?
Yeah, last Saturday, which is bizarre. So we've been going just over 3 years, and suddenly I found myself as the chairperson, which, yeah, is good, I suppose.
Congratulations.
Congrats,
You drunk on the power? Have you?
Yeah, totally. I've made loads of changes. We're ready for Rainbow Laces, and we're just going to go for it. Yeah, find a few people, hide a few more. We're not in a bad place now.
And you've got some new lights for Friday's game as well.
It's all looking good. No, I think it's great. I think I would have never stood for chair if I didn't have such a strong team that works, with Marching Out Together. And one of the things I said was, I'll stand for chair, but none of you guys can go anywhere. Or
Did the former chair refuse to leave and ask for several recounts of the vote?
I dragged him out by his hair and made sure that he could not. Well, I would have done, but I'm not allowed with pictures of him, or he would have been good.
Radio.
A social distanced coup.
Absolutely. Yeah. One done via Zoom. How does that even work? Amazing.
One of those 1 meter pickup sticks.
It's just so 2020. Yeah.
The new normal.
So, Wiggy, tell us a little bit about Marching Out Together first.
So Marching Out Together has been going just over 3 years now, formed just around the beginning of the 2017 season, set up by two guys, Leeds United season ticket holders, who wanted to set up an LGBT plus supporters group for Leeds United. They approached the club. The club was really, really supportive from day one, put it on their socials, put it on on their Twitter, on Facebook, on their website, asking people to get in touch. And that's kind of where I got involved. So I just dropped them a note, as a few did. We came together, we formed the group. And then since then, we've been working really closely with the club on LGBT plus inclusion, both at Ellen Road, at Thorpe Arch, and as part of the wider football family. So yeah, it's been a really great 3 years.
Did you find the reaction overwhelmingly positive to Marching Out Together to when it was founded, or has there been a struggle and has it been difficult?
I think so. Overwhelmingly, yeah, we've had a really positive reaction. You're always going to get your idiots, shall we say? That's what we'll call them. You're always going to get them. The socials have gone up tonight on Rainbow Laces this weekend.
That's what they're called, Wiggy. They're called cunts.
Yeah. Absolutely, that's the one. So yeah, you're always going to get them, and the socials have gone out tonight on announcing our Rainbow Laces game for this weekend, and there is still a minority of people who are not happy about the situation. I'm not happy about us having a Rainbow Laces game, and I think unfortunately you're always going to get them. But if I think back to day dot, we had an overwhelmingly positive response with a minority who were not happy about it. But what I would say throughout our whole tenure is our straight allies have been fantastic. It hasn't been us having to respond. Generally, it's been our straight allies and fans who have just jumped straight on it, and it's been fantastic to see the support.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most promising things about it, is that if anything negative is said, that the response from the rest of the fan base is just immense. Like, it's easy to belittle these people because they're not the best of thought. So it's quite easy to just poke holes in their arguments. And normally they complain about it having shoved down the throats, which I think is quite homoerotic.
I think the one tonight that made me chuckle is, are the players going to get on two knees this weekend? Which I thought was quite entertaining.
That's quite clever, actually, for them.
Yeah,
wow.
It's a good one for them. Round of applause for that one. Alex, you love picking holes in it. You're
No,
always
not me. Surely not.
You always love to have a bit of fun poking the bear, shall we say?
Yeah, nah, guilty.
Poking the badger.
Yeah, that's it.
Aye.
It more for me. They always just reinforce why we're all kind of supporting it in the first place.
Absolutely.
Clearly there's still a need. That they're kind of suggesting that why should we be doing this? Well, literally, you are the reason.
Yeah, you've just proven why it exists.
It's you.
They just make it really easy for us. It's you love to see it. You're just like, what are you doing? It's something wound you that much up in life. Like, get a grip. Like, it has absolutely no impact on anything. On you. Just get on with watching the game if you're that bothered.
Oh, corner flags are a bit colourful today. I don't like that. What's going on?
And we could do with Jamie Vardy taking another out, because I found that highly entertaining as well. Brilliant. I was loving it.
Great,
I read obviously on the socials the start, he doesn't like it. Stop being ridiculous. Yeah, he doesn't like a corner flag.
Yeah.
I think the whole movement's fantastic. I think I agree with you guys. It's so good that the fan base as a whole, we can shout down these kind of ignorant, comments and things when they come through. Unfortunately, social media, being the cesspit it is not particularly a pleasant place to read some comments sometimes. But I think it's important to take that step back and understand what the club and amazing campaigns like amazing organisations like Marching Out Together are doing to increase awareness and fight for equality. I think it's magic. I was reading the statement earlier about the game against West Ham. Obviously, we're going to have the warm-up T-shirts, the rainbow armbands for the captains, pin badges. There's going to be the LED across the perimeter boards on TV. So fantastic work, and long may it continue. I think it's important we keep tackling these issues head on. Sport is an amazing platform to do that with a multi-diverse and cultural audience across the world. So, yeah, fantastic work, Stephen, and congratulations on your promotion.
Thank you. Yeah. As I say, I'm really chuffed, and I think you're right. It's about the as fighting for inclusion for everyone, and we have this tagline, don't we? All Leeds out we, and it seems that some of our fan base only like to use that when it suits them.
Yeah, there's an asterisk including there, so it's all really Leeds out we, unless.
Unless this and this, which is crazy. But I think what is great is the support of the club, is the support of our fan base, and is the support of right from the top. I mean, Angus is absolutely fantastic, and his door is always open to us if we we meet with him quite regularly. His door's always open to listen to ideas. We had a period over the last couple of years where there isn't a specific diversity and inclusion officer in the club. That's changed now that we're in the Premier League, so it means we can make even further strides in what we want to achieve over the next couple of years. So it's great. I think we always take one step forward, a couple of steps back, and then we take even more steps forward, and I think that's just kind of life, and we're cognizant and we're okay with that. I think as long as we make a little bit of progress every year, we'll be delighted.
So in my thinking, it wasn't that long ago, relatively, that homosexuality was illegal, was actually against the law, and there was the kind of coded messages that a wink and or an earring on the right ear or whatever, and then even worse for me is that it was considered a mental illness. So in general terms, I think we've moved in the right direction as a society. Do you think we've taken a few steps back in recently in the last few years, or is it still like quite moving in a positive direction?
I would say overall we're moving in a positive direction. I think when we specifically talk about football, I don't think it's reflective of modern day society. The fact that we in the Premier League, in the EFL, there is no out gay player is definitely not a mirror image of society. There is gay men out there, of course. I'm sat here, and
Go on, Wiggy.
Can you believe it? I'm here,
Represent.
I'm here, I'm queer, get used to it and all of that. But it isn't reflective of society. And I was chatting yesterday on LUTV about this issue and the fact that there is no gay players. And it's sad, really. Like, we're in 2020 and we still don't have an out player in any of the leagues. That's crazy. And I think, when we talk about Leeds United, I am confident that if there was a player in Leeds United that was gay, they would have the support of the dressing room. You see that team together, and they are a team, and they're behind each other for whatever reason. So I'm sure that it's about creating that supportive dressing room. The stuff we do with the club at Thorpe Arch is around education for the first team and also our youth teams, because I think it'll be a future generation that it will happen. I don't think it'll be anytime soon, sadly, but we've just got to create that environment that people feel comfortable. And, for me, it's the language that's used that will help people take that step. So, if you've got a younger player who is maybe thinking about coming out, have they got the environment and the support that they can do it? And is the language in the dressing room reflective of modern society? And by that, I mean, it's not acceptable to be saying, well, that's so gay, for example. Yeah. But younger people might not understand that can be offensive or can set someone back years in terms of their coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just thinking about the whole thing of players not being out. I was watching a Sky Sports interview and Graham Souness was on there, who, to be fair to him, he's fairly progressive in his views, which is not what you'd expect. But he did say... he did say that, if there was a player, who wanted to come out, he should really speak to his agent, he should speak to the chairman and say, I want to get ahead of this. It shouldn't be that complicated. It shouldn't be that big a deal. It should just be something that announces who he is, and they should be comfortable with that. And it's removing them stigmas, them barriers to just people being who they want to be. And it's statistically impossible. There is nobody in the league structure, there's no male footballer in professional football that isn't actually gay. It's not possible. It's just they're not comfortable to come forward. So it's
fairly common in the women's game for female players to come out and not have to go through this whole process that Alex is talking about, speaking to the agent, they just do it as a human being. Mm-hmm. So do you think that perhaps there is an element of the male toxicity around it?
Yeah, 100% would be my view. I think if you think about it, the macho straight man loves the idea of lesbians and thinks, oh, that's great. Oh, it's so sexy. And all of that. Where they think of, two gay men, that's disgusting, da-da-da-da. And I think that does play out in the football world. You have, that fantasy, shall we say, in terms of two women, and it being nice, and it being sexy, versus the two gay men thing. And I think it does play out. And, I think it's played out in the football clubs, like in terms of, there being out gay women players and no out gay men players.
So we need to just find male footballers a bit sexier.
Yeah,
and if there's a quality there.
Yeah,
I've got it.
It's really easy for them.
Stephen, did you, I don't know if the club retained any kind of contact with, I know he only made something like 3 or 4 appearances for us, but obviously Robbie Rogers, when he went over to America, didn't he? He kind of, at the time, if I recall, and I think it was back in 2013, 2014, he came out obviously as an openly gay footballer when he was kind of playing for LA Galaxy. And obviously he, as I say, made a very brief Leeds United cameo in a career that spanned 4 or 5 appearances for us. Do you retain any contact with him? Has he been considered as maybe an ambassador? Because I know he spoke quite candidly about it when he went over to America, which I know is a completely separate culture and than that we've got over here in the Premier League and our football pyramid. But I didn't know if there's been any contact with him or what your thoughts are on that.
There's probably a bit of an exclusive here for your podcast, so So a couple of things. He is our patron, and he did some great work with us at the beginning in terms of our launch and filming videos and things like that, which was fantastic. He then came over for a game a couple of seasons ago. I can't remember the exact year, and walked the pitch and got a fantastic reception. And then kind of, obviously he's in America, he's doing his own thing, and we haven't had much contact recently until today. So very today, we got in touch with Rob, which, so you get this scoop. I don't know whether I'm allowed to tell you, but I'm the chair, so no one can tell me off camera.
Here we go, he's drunk on power, he's drunk.
But yeah, we got in touch with him yesterday or today and got a response today, and this was around doing some work with the Academy around LGBT plus History Month, which is in February. So the Academy want him to do a video talking about, you know, being gay in football, and a real educational video that they want him to film that they'll then play with the Academy. So the Academy manager down at Thorpe Arch, she's one of our biggest advocates, biggest supporters. She's really passionate about LGBT plus inclusion and making sure that it's educated in the same way that racism is educated, because I think a lot of the programs that are put out there, you know, by the FA and by others, are heavily focused on racism and don't actually tackle homophobia. So she's really keen to rebalance that and, you know, not forget about racism. That is really important, but make sure that there is some LGBT plus inclusion as well that's talked about and taught with younger players. So there's your exclusive. Robbie Rogers is going to work with the club on some training for the Academy.
Good stuff.
Wonderful.
Just quickly about the FA. So I think it was 6 years ago they appointed an equality board member who described homosexuality as detestable. I'm just wondering if any progress has been made with the FA and how can things change and how can people like me, like a straight ally, and other people, how can they get involved to try and make sure that things get better?
So I think, has any progress been made at the FA? I don't know whether I'm right to answer that, to be honest with you. That is a big question. Does anyone else want to try and answer that one?
No.
There we go.
Your response is saying more than you think it is, Wiggy.
Yeah, probably. I think you only have to look recently to the chair of the FA leaving to say where the FA is at, and I think there's still a lot of work to do. I went to an England match, the one at Ellen Road, a couple of years ago. As an FA guest, which was very nice, and their tagline is "for all," and I don't think things could be further from the truth. I think
for all asterisks.
They spelt fuck wrong.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly it. To be fair, it was a free bar though, so I was absolutely got pissed and told Greg Clark is a knobhead.
So that's how everybody else can get involved. Do exactly the same as that.
Yeah,
so find Greg Clark, have a skinful.
That's the second exclusive. Get drunk. It's Greg Clark. Dick.
Greg Clark. So yeah, I think in terms of getting involved, our allies are really active with us on Twitter, on the socials, on Facebook. If you drop us a note with anything that you would like to that you passionately want to get involved in, we're all ears to really tap into some of the potential out there. So, you know, recently someone got in touch with us who's a bit of a graphic designer and wanted to do us some new badges and things like that. So that's fantastic. We've got them and they're ordered now. So we've got some new badges coming, which is great. So I think we'll accept kind of any help is what we would say. But the support from our allies on the socials is key. And I think the support in the stand is absolutely key. So calling it out.
Yeah.
If you see, you know, homophobia in the stands, you know, and you feel comfortable enough, tackle the problem head on.
Tackle a guy.
Great.
Or girl.
Totally.
Tackle them. Take him out.
Rugby tackle, or 2 foot.
Yeah. Make Rob Burrow proud.
Do whatever you need. Yeah, we're absolutely happy. So no, tackle the issue head on if you feel comfortable. If you don't, speak to a steward and report the issue. There's also the text functionality there, and we're working with the club to try and get that more prominent, because who remembers an 11-digit text number? Yeah. Not very many people. Yeah. So there's definitely work still to do, but I think from an allies perspective, it's just showing your active support. And I think last year, if you think about Laces, we did the Guard of Honour and we walked the pitch. And that was obviously gay people, lesbian people, but a lot were our straight allies who were joining us to show support and solidarity. And when I think back to Pride last year, we didn't have one this year, did we? I keep forgetting that. But I think to Pride last year, we had probably about 100 people on the march with us, give or take. Again, made up of a lot of our straight allies out there showing support, having a voice. And then we had a big piss up, which was fantastic. And watched us beat Bristol 2-0. There's a theme here, isn't there? Lights get pissed.
I think there is a Sky van somewhere still removing Marching Out Together stickers from the back window.
Oh my God. How funny was that? It was just literally the whole Sky van was covered in Marching Out Together and Leeds United stickers. I bet they fucking hate us.
Sky TV is marching out. Sky TV.
Yeah. And I did think we sang that on the day, We definitely did. Yeah, we did. It was a good day. It's a shame it didn't happen this year, but I think next year, hopefully, we can come back bigger, stronger, more of us, and hopefully, and this is what really pissed me off this year. This year, there wouldn't have been a clash with the kickoff of the season, because it's a week after Pride. So the EFL kicks off the week of Pride, and the Premier League kicks off the week after. So there wouldn't have been a clash. So it'd have been bigger and better, but we're still here. We're still healthy. So you've got to take the positives.
Brilliant. Okay. Thanks very much, Wiggy. So if you'd like to join up to be a member, does it cost anything? Is it free? Where do people go?
Membership is free. The pinned tweet on Twitter has the details in terms of getting your membership and joining the membership. Or you can drop us an email at marchingouttogether@gmail.com. We are Marching Out Together on all the socials, or Marching Out LUFC on Twitter. So please, just get in touch. We are more than happy to grow our membership, grow our Twitter following, our Facebook following, our Instagram, and all of that. So please get in touch. I think what I would say is, if you're confused about your sexuality, you're not sure about going to Ellen Road, there is people like you there. So please get in touch, and we're a friendly bunch. We're not all pissheads like me, promise.
I think that's one big thing as well to add to what you just said there, is that meeting up before a game with a group of friendly people has been really good for a lot of people who've been scared to go to games because of fear of discrimination, fear of anything like that. And I think that's what Marching Out, one of the massive powers that Marching Out Together has got, is that pre-game meetups, everybody's safe, and ticket exchanges to make sure people got tickets and things like that. It's making sure that anybody in the LGBT plus community can get to a game and feel comfortable there, and that's exactly what it's all about. So
totally, and I think in this time, and something else people can get involved in, we always send it to our members, is pre-game. We have a Zoom call with our members just for an hour, just to make sure that people feel connected. People have still got the football family there. We talk about football, we talk about LGBT plus issues, and we just have a general laugh and try to share the pre-match experience via Zoom. It's not quite the same, obviously, but it's something, and I think our members have really found it useful.
Lovely. Perfect. Amazing. Well, thank you very much, Wiggy. It was an absolute pleasure and very funny. You were a very funny man.
Thank you.
And absolutely love what you're doing.
Good stuff. Well, thanks for having us on.
Amazing, mate. Amazing stuff.
Good stuff. Cheers, guys.
Okay. Thanks, Wiggy.
See you later,
Cheers,
pal.
mate.
See you later. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Wiggy, that was
What a
nice,
top
wasn't it?
bloke. He's a good lad, him. Nice lad. Kind of jealous I missed this. Jealous I missed this piss up thing. That it sounds like it was a bit of an event, Alex.
It was fantastic. I mean, how they managed to organise that and get hired out a bar on Lower Briggate, I think it was, which was absolutely teamed with people, and we'd got the top floor of it to watch the Bristol game. It was just fantastic. It's great to spend. Really good group of people, and I would say to anybody, straight allies, anybody to get involved with the stuff that they're doing, because it's great to show that inclusion. It's not just for LGBT plus. If you're an ally, you're part of that plus. So it's just get involved and help the guys.
Excellent. Okay, I think that's just about it. We could talk about San Marino in England, but I feel like nobody cares.
No, don't give a fuck.
Calvin Phillips playing as part of a double man CDM combination to win 1-0 away.
Yeah.
So that was your Roaring Peacock Main Cast number 13. Unlucky for some, hopefully not Leeds, on Friday night. You can join us for the match preview, where Alex will continue his losing streak, now losing 10-9.
But I got Bamford as a scorer, so yeah.
You did. You got a point.
Yeah, okay.
You got a point for that. You're still losing 10-9.
All right.
And you can find all our Twitter tags in the podcast description. Or the YouTube description. So my name's Adonis. You know me as the Adelites, and it's a very goodbye from me. And it's also a very goodbye from Rob.
See you later. Thanks for having me.
And a very goodbye from our Riot Badger.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Leeds!
Most of our stats come from LUFC Stats or LUFC Data on Twitter. You should probably give them a follow, as they're more interesting than us. A very special thanks to Adam Elliot, Adam Warner, Barney Stewart Cookie, Ewan and Howard Metcalf, Josh Pearson, Laura, Leon and Rob, The Light Show, and all our family and friends.
So many games to play, don't care what's on your mind.